Austin Price. It says assistant editor, and I'm assuming it's on the message board at VolQuest, said, quote, there was no practice access today, but I'm told Nico was not at practice today. I don't know if or when Tennessee will comment on this, with nothing scheduled till after the orange and white game tomorrow. So we bring Will West in of the Sports Animal WNML Afternoons with Tyler and Will. Will, how are you, sir?
Doing well. I'll just tell you, he wasn't at practice today. So, that's unless I got a half dozen people lying to me, Nico was not at practice today.
Well, okay. This is breaking news right now. So
this is breaking news. Click the like. I mean, this is bigger to me than the social media going back and forth between Nikos and Iamaleava's father. Excuse me.
Yeah. Okay. So I've talked to a lot of people on this, and I'll be real. Yesterday, it was kind of I don't want to say rip Nico fest, but we literally, so, we have our text line and it goes through a paid software system. We had more than 1,200 unique individuals who texted during our 4-hour show yesterday. And I would say 70% of them said, let him walk. And so what I have been told since, as I try to do this, and I'm not like big J, capital J journalist or anything like that. I'm not that's not really what I do. But I know a lot of the people involved, and I know a lot of people around this side of things. What I am told is this. Nico's camp did not put this out. Nico's camp did not want this out. Nico's camp, they are negotiating. It's not like that as far as putting the gun on the table of he's threatening with the transfer portal or anything, but the way it got leaked out looks that way. There are some people who believe it was someone from Spire, maybe not Spire as a whole, someone from Spire who leaked this out, thinking they could get Nico to go ahead and sign. What Nico wants help. Nico wants more weapons around him and another offensive lineman. I don't even think Nico wants more money. I think he wants help, from what I am told. And instead, and someone was thinking they could either, whether it's for Spire or an intermediary, thought they could kind of pressure his family to get past the finish line this week and leak that out. And it's all blown up at Nico, because when you read the report from Pete with On3, it reads like what every other player has done when they're entering the transfer portal or threatening to go to another team if they don't get more money. That's not what's happening here, from what I am told by a lot of people. I was told Nico was not at practice today. We'll see. I know Austin's reporting the same thing, that Nico was not at practice. He was told the same thing I was, that Nico was not at practice today. This isn't good. I think someone was trying to help that knows about as much about PR as I do about hanging drywall. And so now this is the kind of situation you find yourself in. But I don't think this came from Nico's camp. And don't get me wrong, I think they're a pain in the backside, right? I do. I think that they can be a pain in the backside. This ain't from them, I don't believe. And I don't know anyone who believes it is from them. And so there are people on the coaching staff who aren't happy. There are people in the administration that aren't happy. The players aren't happy. The Nico's camp's not happy. Him not being at practice today is not good. At the same time, think about it, Dave. You and I both have a kid about the same age, right? My daughter is literally Nico's age. Would you let your kid go out there and play at the orange and white game tomorrow and get booed over something you didn't leak out there that's not exactly true?
Okay, so here's my issue, Caleb. I'm sorry to jump in front of you, but this seems to me like it's grown another head, so to speak. And that is, it appears that Nico's upset about the PR backlash, whereas we were just discussing an hour ago that the money could be the biggest hurdle in getting him to play at Tennessee. Now it seems like both sides have hurt feelings, and that can be even more troublesome than a little bit of cash.
Yeah, no, and again, it wasn't, from what I am told, it was less about the money. The money is fine, or maybe a little bit of a bump is what was going to happen, and that both sides had agreed on the money. It was a matter of Nico, and again, I do believe Nico was not signing. I don't think Nico was going anywhere. I don't think the family was going anywhere. I think he's happy. I think he really likes Josh Heupel. I think that I have been told by a lot of people he went to his coaches and teammates after what happened on the Instagram thing in, was it December, January, and told them I didn't want to do this. My dad made me do it. And so and now even the dad's happy with everything outside of they want more help. Think about Tennessee. I mean, think about if you're Nico, and I'm not trying to just be the mouthpiece for them, because again, I think they can be a pain in the backside a little bit. But if you're Nico right now, you don't have really a full complement of receivers at your disposal. Not any of them are proven receivers outside of Chris Brazzell, which it doesn't look like his skill set fits incredibly well with Nico's. So he wants another receiver, and I get that because if you deal with a couple of receiver injuries, they had 3 big receiver injuries last year. You deal with that this year, you don't have warm bodies out there, and you end up looking like Jackson Arnold. That hurts your draft stock. I think he wants another offensive lineman, and I would want another offensive lineman as well. Now, would I drag my feet on signing a deal when I don't plan on going anywhere to try to see if I can get some help? I don't know if I would do that, but they definitely, from what I am told, on the team side, on Nico's side, on everybody's side, none of them were trying to make this public, and no one has threatened to enter the transfer portal, which is kind of how Pete's report reads, right? And I know he didn't say those words, but when you say it is unclear whether this will affect him entering the transfer portal, which opens next week, that's what you're implying, right? At the end of the day, Pete's done this long enough that he knows that that's what you're implying. And I'm not saying Pete is a bad source. I'm saying somebody on the representative side, whether it was the NIL side or an intermediary between Spire and Nico, I believe a lot of people believe that someone on the Spire side leaked this, or someone in between Spire and Nico leaked this, thinking they were going to help push this across the finish line ahead of the orange and white game. And instead, the whole thing is just blown up at Nico, and no one anticipated that. Because again, look, all of us, all 3 of us do this for a living. We deal with the public for a living. We deal with we deal with Tennessee fans for a living. That's our customer base. We would all know, that's stupid. Don't do this. I think someone was trying to help, and they ended up just dropping a big old turd in the punch bowl. And now I think everybody does. No one knows how to fix it from here. Because I'll be very real. If that's my kid, I would look at it and say, well, we weren't going anywhere, and I don't know if we're going to now after you burned us with the entire fan base when we did nothing. When the one time we did nothing wrong, then you burn us.
So, well, with that in mind, would Nico's, if they were to look to go somewhere else, because if this wasn't Tennessee's fault, and if this wasn't Nico's team's fault, and if this was some third party's fault, you would think Nico would understand that. So would the thing that lead him and the family to want to leave be the way people on y'all's call-in shows or people on our comment section or just what they're hearing from Tennessee fans now? Is that what's turning them off more than anything else?
Have you burned the bridge? I mean, the thing that comes with something like this, like right now, you're a CMO of a company in East Tennessee. Do you want Nico to be the face of your product right now?
Probably not with the family and the social media.
Yeah, you don't. Now, on the other hand, I don't think Nico's family knows how to do this stuff that well either. Or because why would you wait 9 hours after the report comes out to say, dude, we didn't have anything to do with this? And from what I have been told by some people who believe they thought that the coach from California who works as the intermediary, that him going on social media immediately and saying this isn't true would be enough that people would believe it's not true. But nobody knows that guy has the relationship that he manages California kids coming to the Southeast. Nobody knows that. So you may know that. I know that. But the other people out there don't know that. Also, people like that are intermediaries lie a lot. And so when you see something like that from a guy who's broken everybody that is transferred, Ricky Gibson go to the transfer portal, and then he wasn't. Tennessee promised him money. Another school offered him more. Tennessee promised him market value. Another school offered him way more than market value. He threatened to enter the transfer portal ahead of spring practice to get Tennessee to go ahead and sign on the dotted line and to start paying him instead of waiting till after spring practice. Because if he tears his ACL, is Tennessee going to pay him? Maybe not. So Pete was the one that broke that. So he's broken a lot of this news. I think somebody was trying to help. I've told by a lot of people. There was someone that was trying to help. And they greatly hindered, and they did not realize that the fan base was going to have this kind of backlash to Nico. And I'm not blaming the fan base. I thought exactly the same thing all the fans did, and I bet you guys did as well, right?
Yeah. New poll question that's on our YouTube page. We'd love for you to vote for that. And I'm going to ask Will this very question. That is this. Do you 100% believe Nico will be the Vols starter this season? Yes, okay. There we go.
No, go ahead.
Yes, he's the man, gets 72% of the vote. No, this isn't going to work out. 28% of the vote. I tend to be, as far as 100%, I'm with you, Will, based off what you've just told me.
So you think Nico's gone, Will?
No, I don't. I just don't think it's 100% there yet. I think there's a great relationship that's fractured now that was caused on the Tennessee side and that Tennessee has to work out. And I would not be surprised. Some people believe that Nico was told he didn't have to practice today by the coaching staff because they are sympathetic to his side of things because the coaching staff has no desire for him to go. They love him. He loves them. Everybody on that side is fine. But somebody leaked this that wasn't supposed to, thinking they're helping. I have been told by a lot of people. Some people believe it was on the Spire side. Some people believe it was one individual at Spire thinking they were helping. And instead, the whole thing is blown up at Nico as if he was trying to pressure Tennessee for the second time in 3 months. And I think behind the scenes, he was trying to pressure them to go get a couple more players. But I don't think he was threatening to leave by any stretch of the imagination.
A lot of new viewers on board, so be sure and click that subscribe button so you get the latest from us, as we're weekdays at 10 a.m. on YouTube and wherever you podcast. It's not my nature, Will, to criticize another person's reporting. But based off what you said, I got a little bit of a problem with the Pete Nakos report if he doesn't get into the fact that Nico and his family wanted more help, that it's not just a money grab. To me, that's a big, monstrous omission.
No, and if he didn't know that, he may not have known that. But I will say what Pete should have said if what Nico's dad is correct on the reporting side. And again, you guys have worked as a reporter. I am not a reporter, right? That's not what I do. I couldn't deal with everything you have to deal with as a reporter all the time. So but I know enough from sharing an office with Jimmy Hyams for more than a decade that if Jimmy Hyams called someone that a source gave him a report about someone, he called and talked to that person, and that person said it's not true, he would have put in their report that the person's denied it, right?
Okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
So Pete, if Nico's dad said it's not true, why didn't Pete put that in the report? That's the problem that I have a little bit with the reporting, I would say.
Well, the question is, did Pete call Nico's dad?
Nico's dad says he did. Called him and asked said that he has a source that he trusts his life on, that a source that he trusts his life on that said this was happening. Nico said, I told him it's not true. And Pete didn't run that aspect of it. Like, Dave, you've done this long enough. I've worked with and around you long enough to know if you did a report on, hey, Will West is leaving the sports animal and he's going to go. Yeah, you called me and I said, that's not true. Even if you ran the report, you would say Will West denies that, right? Inside the column.
Yes. I mean, that to me is odd. Why you wouldn't include that.
And also and the thing is, one of the things this is one of the problems with internet media, by the way, when it comes to reporting, a lot of times that newspapers would never do with headline writing. They will, like, Dave, you know this, headline writing, you make a splash, but you don't be deliberately misleading with your headlines, even if it draws in more readers. Pete Nakos was implying with that headline that Nico was definitely looking elsewhere. There's a paragraph in the story, in that actual story, that says Nico's very happy with Tennessee, very happy at his time there. The coaches are very happy. Everybody's happy. Everybody loves their time. I'm like, that kind of almost directly contradicts the implication of the headline, doesn't it?
Yeah, and a lot of times, I mean, you guys know it is, the guy that writes the story doesn't get to write the headline. So that's
that. Philip Fulmer still calls me randomly about that.
I have a friend whose job it is for a massive media company to write headlines. You know what I mean? And that's what he does, is allocate workload and write headlines. And so it doesn't mean that, yes, that's what Pete was trying to say. Although if you're Pete, again, how do you get the subject of your piece denies what your source is telling you, and you don't put that the subject is denying it? That's the only thing that I have a problem with Pete doing this. And again, the world's changed a lot since we all started doing this how many ever years ago, but I don't love that necessarily. Look, most people I have talked to believe someone at Spire leaked this, whether it was Spire knew about it or one person at Spire threw this out trying to get the deal done. And they didn't think it was going to blow back on Nico because of all the nice things they said about it. And now it's all blown back on Nico. Think about this. Like, if Nico plays tomorrow, is he going to get booed?
Quite possibly.